More to Marketing. Welcome to More to Marketing, a podcast that explores marketing, product, and everything in between. I'm your host, Susan, and today we're going to talk entrepreneurship. I would love to introduce Michael, who has been instrumental in the evolution of the digital retail space within Australia and overseas, and is really a pioneer in entrepreneurship itself too. Michael is a visionary. He brings to life amazing concepts with the customer at its heart. I'd really love him to share more about himself and his career because there's no one better to do it. So welcome, Michael.
Hey, Susan, thanks for having me on your podcast today.
I appreciate your time. I know time is very little on your side because you're doing so much. So let's hear about what you're up to at the moment.
Sounds great. Um, so we'll start from the end, maybe. So today, co-founder and CEO of Spacer Technologies, which is a leading property technology platform for helping people to monetize underutilized spaces. And so typically that might look like a parking spot or a storage space, both in Australia and in North America, so across Canada and the US. So that's what we're up to today.
I do love the idea because I've seen many of your ads as well that have come out about if you've got a spare, say you're in an apartment building and you never use your storage space, you're getting charged for that in your rent anyway. So why not supplement some of that by renting it out to someone? So I think that's a really, particularly now with the economic conditions, I think that's a really handy way for that passive income to come in.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really a very simple concept, and it feels like a no-brainer if you've got space that you're not using, whether that's a lock-up garage or a driveway. Why not share that with people in the community who may need that, and earn some handy extra income? So it's a very simple idea, difficult to execute on, as any two-sided marketplace is. You got the chicken and the egg of what comes first, supply or demand, at a hyper local level. But that's all part of the fun.
Definitely. And I remember seeing one example where someone was like, you can use my space to park a boat if you like. So some of those things that you may not think that people have issues with, there are ways to solve it. And that's what this spacer is helping everyone with.
Yeah, in some suburbs, certainly in Sydney, you'll see, rows of trailer boats and RVs and old caravans rotting away on the side of the street where they have no, limits to the parking, which is a real shame to see that people need, there's obviously demand, but there's better ways, we believe, and we believe we're part of that solution and helping people store their assets. So as you said, people are very resourceful. It could be an RV, could be a caravan, could be a trailer boat, or it might just be, grandma's old chest of drawers that you really want to hang on to. Maybe it doesn't suit the design of your home, but you can't bear to give it away just yet.
Oh, amazing. And what else have you been up to in recent years as well?
Not much hair left. So yes, but since we last caught up at DealsDirect, which was a great journey, I've been sitting on a few boards, so really immersed myself in the share economy. It's a space I'm very passionate about. So about 7 or 8 years ago, I got involved and invested in a bunch of Australian share economy businesses. So some quite well-known ones like Car Next Door, which is now been acquired by Uber Car Share. Got involved with a bunch of other sort of startups, Mad Paws, and a host of others. So yeah, really passionate about the space, and I've met some really amazing people, founders of these businesses and team members, and yeah, it's a really great space, and there's some really amazing people working in it.
And I just saw that Mad Paws hit an all-time high as well. They're hitting some amazing goals.
Yeah, I think yesterday I read that they had their first profitable month, which is a huge milestone, particularly for VC funded businesses, which their aim isn't to be profitable initially. It's really to grow and build the ecosystem, and then obviously eventually become financially sustainable, which I guess is what their focus is now, being a listed company. Yeah, well done to Alexis and Eustace and the whole team there, and Shannon, who we used to work with at DealsDirect. Is office manager there. And
Oh,
g'day, Shani.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yep. Haven't seen her for a while, but go Penrith. They did well for her.
Yes.
What inspired you along your entrepreneurship journey? Because I know that you did a lot in the very first e-commerce space as well, finding a gap in market. But what really inspired you to go down that path?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. And I don't think it was necessarily a conscious decision. But from an early age, I've really, been a nerd. I hung out with all the nerds at school, all my
Nothing
friends.
wrong with that.
All my best mates were, the sort of smartest kids at the school, me not so. But, I learned a lot from them and I had great very intellectual conversations. And, a lot of them went on to do PhDs in computer science and different science and math degrees and stuff. And I was a uni dropout, but I was also really interested in business.
Mm.
And so I guess, I sort of put the two together and my love and passion of technology, computers, and business. And so early on, I started a web development company when I was 14 with my best mate in high school, Harvey Took, who's now very senior at Google Cloud
Wow.
in Boston, and we're still really good mates, see each other every year. And that's sort of how I got started. So I was just learning by doing. I did start off at uni. I was at Macquarie Uni doing a business degree, and within a year I dropped out. I just fell asleep in lectures, which I hear is not that uncommon, but I just had no interest in sort of
Yeah.
being told how to learn, and I preferred learning
Mm.
by experiencing things and making mistakes. So I guess the entrepreneurial path was kind of the only way for me. I was unemployable and I needed to find something to do, and so that's how I got started.
And that's an amazing because it shows that even from a young age, you had that aspiration to do something different. You wanted to try and test and learn. But again, not everyone has to go to university to be a success. It's about following your passion, your gut, and that's what you did.
Yeah, and I was very fortunate. My parents were, I mean, they certainly would have preferred if I had stuck out university. I think they were quite worried when I dropped out. I think my mum might have said, "Oh, are you ever going to leave home?" and these sorts of things. But they were very supportive underneath it all. They weren't sort of
Mm.
tiger parents. They valued education. My mum was a school teacher.
Mm.
But my dad was a career man. Family man, but he had the same job for 42 years. So me going down a different sort of career path was a little bit foreign to them, but they were supportive. So yeah,
Mm.
I didn't have that sort of issue to contend with, which was lucky. And they let me stay at home for the first year or so while I was starting auction brokers with Paul, and we weren't drawing any money out of the business. So I think I did a few part-time jobs just to pay the train ticket to work.
Yep.
And then eventually I said, oh, I think when they started charging me board, I think I started to move out. I'm going to pay. I'll live where I want to live.
Exactly. Closer so I don't have to pay for that train fare.
Exactly.
And again, it just shows that with perseverance, you kept at it. Like we said at the very beginning, you don't necessarily get returns straight away, but it's about persevering on it, going the right course, changing course if you need to make something successful where there's a gap.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes where you start isn't where you end up.
Mm-hmm.
But it's yeah, that's all part of the fun and the journey, and lots of highs and lows. Definitely like a roller coaster, but I think entrepreneurs wouldn't have it any other way. Some days we'd say, oh, maybe we should go and get a job. And I did actually apply for one after DealsDirect. I thought, oh, maybe I should just try this corporate thing, and I totally stuffed it up. And I thought, no, that's a sign. It's not for me. What's
Yeah.
next? Let's find another business to start.
Well, that's the thing. I'd assume with entrepreneurship, you and being the entrepreneur of it, the owner and the one that's pushing it along, you're control of a lot of the decision making. So going into corporate, there would have been a lot more red tape where you wouldn't be able to be as inventive or have as much initiative as you'd hope to have.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely one of the reasons to start your own business, whether it's a startup or a more traditional business, buy a
Mm.
business, is be your own boss.
Yeah.
You can tap into that creative flair, whatever that might look like. I mean, I'm quite nerdy. I don't know if it's creative, but you know, um, but yeah, do things your own way, try things, yes, set the culture, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, you got a lot more flex, a lot more pressure, a lot more um, responsibility. Ultimately, you're on the, you're accountable for everything. But yeah, there's from my perspective, there's more pros and cons.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of people look for gaps or problems to solve being an entrepreneur. Is that a part of what you did as your process? What was the inspiration behind how you've gone about your different businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I go back to auction brokers, which then became DealsDirect, the problem that we were solving was we were helping corporates to to sell their excess inventory, their end of line inventory. When they brought new models to market, they didn't want to muddy the market with, let's say in Harvey Norman, they wanted to have the latest computer on display and selling that, and not confusing people with last year's model at a cheaper price. And so they would sell that through us on eBay, or we would help them sell that on eBay. And so that, we help solve that problem for corporates. And I guess from a consumer perspective, we were helping them get access to products at a much better price. And that's really what drove us. It was love a bargain was our slogan.
Yes.
And we used to say it all the time, probably annoyed the heck out of you, Susan, because we'd say it all the time. Everything was love a bargain.
Hey, it worked for the target market. That's the whole point about it.
Yeah.
It really did resonate.
Yeah. And I think we were really true to that vision, that mantra.
Definitely.
And now at Spacer, really, as I said, whilst it's not a sexy idea, there's a real need, right, that we're solving. And I got this idea from going to the US and meeting with entrepreneurs and startups and going to demo days and stuff. It wasn't a new idea, but it just hadn't been well executed yet, and it hadn't been done in Australia. And so I thought, well, what a great idea. Like, people have these empty garages all over the place. There's hundreds of thousands, if not a million plus. Yeah, there's 10 million homes in Australia. Would 10% of them be empty, the garages? Probably. So what if those spaces could be better utilized by others in their neighborhood? If you don't have a garage, or you need an extra space for the kids' bikes and your golf clubs and whatever, what if you could rent one in your local, within your street or within your neighborhood, and that person could earn some extra income? So that was the problem we were solving. And as I said, whilst it's not like crypto or fashion, or it's not like super sexy, there's a real need, and an everyday need. So yeah, that's what attracted us to that market. And it's a big addressable market as well, globally.
And you're 100% right. I've even heard very high figures of just houses alone being empty as well within Australia. So if you put that map over across into the US, North America, Canada, I'm sure there's quite a large percentage there as well that's quite untapped.
Yeah, there's some stats out there around parking that there's something like 2 billion parking spaces in the US.
Wow.
And the population's 320 odd million. So what's that? 6 or 7 car spaces for every vehicle. Now, of course, you do need to have some extras because they're talking about shopping centers and all sorts of things, right? But still, there are many more car spaces than there are vehicles, but they're not necessarily where you need them. So I guess what we're helping is tapping into helping make available and let people know these spaces are available in your neighborhood. We don't need to go and build new car parks. There's plenty of spots available using our platform. You can, or others, you can tap into those. Yeah.
And I'm assuming with a lot of this, there's been growth happen as well behind the scenes. And sometimes it can be quite fast, sometimes it can be slow. In regards to that, how do you actually up and downsize your team to be able to maintain your scalability? What steps have you gone in for doing and processing that within the area?
Yeah, look, we started really late. We did raise money up front because we knew, looking at other marketplaces globally, two-sided marketplaces, they take quite a lot of investment to get off the ground. You've got that chicken and egg situation where you've got to build the supply before you build the demand. We used to say at DealsDirect, you can't sell off an empty shelf, right?
Yes.
And so we had to get the stock, the inventory, and that took time. We launched on Channel 7 News
I
nationally.
remember.
And the day before that, we had like 30 listings, most of which were me and my friends and my family and my dog, and we all had listings. And then the next day we had 300 and we thought we'd made it. And then
Wow.
it took us a month to get our first booking. But the crazy thing is it didn't actually scare us. We weren't even worried that we weren't transacting. We just wanted to get more and more supply. So that was the big
Mm.
focus. And we used to go out and, we'd go to people's houses and we would list the spaces for them in
Yep.
photographs.
Take all the photos and everything.
Yeah, the old Airbnb story.
Yep.
But to answer your question about scaling up, so yeah, we started small. There was a team of, less than a handful of us. Now there's about 60 of us.
Wow.
So the team has really grown over that last sort of 6 or 7 years. Um, so yeah, I mean, we've been in a fortunate position where the business has been growing year on year, every year. Obviously, during COVID, it was a little bit tricky.
Mm.
But we're very proud. We didn't let go of any stuff. We we started an e-commerce store called Spacer Store. We sold a few from our favorite old suppliers at DealsDirect, and
Yep.
mostly to keep the team busy because
Mm.
we turned off our marketing for a year. So the business was still profitable, break even, but we wanted to keep them engaged and doing things and learning. And so they actually learned a lot about e-commerce. They learned a lot about email marketing and things like that, which we weren't so strong at before. We used to do 3 emails a day at DealsDirect.
Yes,
Breakfast, lunch, and
minimum
dinner.
3.
Minimum three. That's right. Used to head that up, so you know it well. Um, so yeah, yeah, we've got an amazing team, and those first two employees are still with us today, JR and Karen. I don't know if you remember them from
I,
Deals,
I
and
do.
yeah, so they're still with us. Yeah, I'm very fortunate to have a very loyal team with great tenure.
And I also love the fact that you started to look at products that complemented. So no doubt I'm assuming you're probably still doing some of that because I could see some real synergies there and even selling boxes for people to pack things into through to the tape they use or other types of storage boxes like plastic ones and everything that they could get to utilize for these spaces.
Yeah, absolutely. And we actually started in storage, and we thought that was really our thesis. We and people were using those garages for parking, and for the first year or so, we sort of pushed up against it. We're like, no, we're a storage company. And then we're like, oh, actually, maybe we're a storage and a parking company. And now today, most of our revenue comes from the parking side, and we've bought some other businesses, Parkhound here in Australia. We bought, and then we've acquired and merged with Where I Park in North America, which is parking. Moved into B2B. So you're right. We've definitely listened to the customer and seen where their needs are.
I don't know why, but for some reason, I just picture people now washing their cars in these new parking spots
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
because they're getting so excited about it and they just want it to be shiny and they go visit their car and just check it out as well. That might be more because of my husband's car, but anyway, another story, another day. So I know that because of this technology is so digital focused, technology would have a major impact on when you could actually do and deliver something because it's about the opportunity when it comes up and if it matches tech. Are you able to talk through some of the changes that have happened in technology that have helped you evolve the businesses?
Yeah, sure. Well, one thing we did differently at Spacer when we started is we didn't build our own technology. We believe that the hardest piece was actually going to be um, building the marketplace, so building the liquidity in the marketplace, building supply and demand, and matching it together, and essentially distribution and marketing was going to be the key challenge. And so what we did initially is we took an off-the-shelf package, which was called Near Me. It's now called Platform OS. Adam Broadway is the CEO there, and a good mate, an Aussie living in the States.
Love it.
Um, and that got us going for the first couple of years. And so we could iterate really quickly. We could build on top of it. It was very flexible.
Mm-hmm.
It was built on Ruby, very similar to like a Shopify type platform, but for two-sided marketplaces. It obviously had limitations. We couldn't do everything we wanted. We couldn't build an app on top of it. Now I think you can. But anyway, that's how we got started. And then we decided at a point in time that we needed to have our own platform. So we acquired a business and we built on top of that. So Parkhound, and now we have our own platform. We've built apps on top of that. Obviously, we were early into sort of AI and machine learning and some of our search algorithms and things like that. We play with things like Bluetooth access devices and all sorts of things. So yeah, we definitely want to stay ahead of the curve and really make it as easy as possible for consumers and our partners. We've invested a lot in analytics as well. So yeah, we're ultimately a tech business underneath it all, that's what a big part of our team does. We have a product and dev team, which is globally distributed.
And it makes sense that data is also core to how you actually evolve and focus on areas for looking for that the stock to be able to fill up, or where the people are that are inquiring all the time, so that you have this rich pool of data that you can actually then start to go, okay, this is a focus area for this time of year because of weather condition changes and things like that. But I say that would be very much the focus in America, where they do have snow and things like that happen.
Absolutely, yeah. January, February, we only sell indoor parking, no outdoor parking. And they want to know, does it come with a snow plow, or does the driveway get plowed, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, lots of local nuances, and absolutely, and the data is invaluable for that. Yeah.
So becoming an entrepreneur yourself has both risks and rewards. What are some of the key lessons you've learned along the way that you could share?
That's a great question. Look, I'd say really it's a marathon, or it's a marathon of sprints. So
Yep.
you often hear about it's a 10-year overnight success, and most businesses, you haven't really heard of them until they've become successful, right? Which is usually 5 to 10 years in. Now, there's some overnight successes. There's some businesses that, within a year they get a huge number of users, some apps. Sometimes they come and go.
Yep.
But usually the long-term sustainable ones take about 10 years to really come to fruition. So I guess that's something. It's sort of managing the pushing and patience. That's something that's I'd like to think I'm getting better at. Certainly in my, earlier on, I was pretty impatient.
I don't blame you. You want that income straight away. You can see it. You're like, why aren't they coming? I can completely empathize with that situation.
It's really, I think it's about achieving your vision and bringing people along that journey, and enrolling people in that vision, and having people around you that support and fill the gaps. So that's super important. Most of my time today is really spent with the team and on the culture and that sort of stuff. Sometimes a bit of admin, not my favorite thing, but yeah.
Outsource.
Absolutely.
What excites you the most when you're starting a new business?
It's been a little while since I started a new one, but I
What do
guess
you
it's,
remember about
yeah,
it
yeah.
when you came up with the idea?
I think it's just that excitement of, you've got this vision in mind, and it's something that you really want to go out and kind of explore and achieve and build a great team. I love working with people. I love collaborating. And like I said, we've been very fortunate to have a team that's, gone with us the whole journey so far. And those, a lot have joined along the way and sort of stayed along. So I find that exciting, building teams, building stuff. Yeah.
Yep. I love that, and I can attest to that too, because I've been part of one of your teams too, with the great culture, and then building something bigger and bigger until it ended up getting bought, which was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun, and lots of twists and turns, and yeah, never a dull moment, right? So
Exactly.
yeah, I think that appeals to my personality. Yeah.
Well, then this leads perfectly into my last question. What brand, any brand in the world, best represents you and why?
But I guess when I think about it, it really is my own brand, right? That's the brand that I've built. It's my baby. You know, um, in the past that was DealsDirect, that was my baby, and I really didn't want to let go of it.
I know.
Spacer Technologies, that's my new baby, and maybe more of a teenager now. But yeah, I'd like to think that's kind of the essence of the brand that I want to bring to the market and to life, and with the team that I've got. And yeah, that's my passion project. Yeah.
I love that. And thank you so much for your time today as well. I just want to recap. So, in regards to being an entrepreneur, it's all about taking the risks and following your gut when you know it makes sense. Generally, doing some data, going and checking in if it's sense checked before you actually go forward to try and solve that problem, but not necessarily having the solution in mind. When you're handling growth, do it, start slow, be lean, and then grow as you need, because you don't know what's going to happen and where you might have to pivot. Technology is ever changing. Make sure to be consistent and check out what technology is doing so that you can be on the forefront if possible, because that will help you as an entrepreneur. And there are risks and rewards, but it's a long game. Make sure to actually know that it's not going to be a success overnight. It may take time, but if there truly is a need for it and you know how to start talking to your potential customer, stay in there. You never know where it might lead you. Thank you again so much, Mike. It's been great to talk to you. Is there any other final thoughts before we leave?
Thanks so much again, Susan. It's been great to catch up, and a bit of a walk down memory lane. Definitely made me a bit nostalgic there. And no, there were great times at DealsDirect, and thanks for being part of that journey. And yeah, congrats for your success as well. And thanks for having me on your podcast. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much again. And for everyone else, make sure to keep following More to Marketing to hear some more great podcasts with excellent guests. More to Marketing.